January 1894, Dry Creek, New Mexico Territory. Evelyn Walsh pressed her back against the cold wall of the stagecoach office and listened to the two men arguing in the street about who had the right to claim her as a wife. She had come to this wagon trail crossroads 6 months ago under a false name, keeping books for the stage line while she waited for her uncle's estate to clear probate back in Kansas City. The inheritance was substantial enough that half a dozen distant cousins had filed claims, and her lawyer had advised her to disappear until the court ruled. So she had become Miss Walsh instead of Miss Cornelia Ashford, and she had kept her head down and her pen moving across ledger pages. The mining camp had sprung up almost overnight when someone found silver in the hills, and now Dry Creek had 5 saloons, 2 brothels, a land office, and exactly 1 newspaper. The newspaper editor was a man named Pruitt Lockhart, and he had decided 3 weeks ago that Evelyn should marry his business partner, a mine owner twice her age, who smelled like whiskey and had hands that wandered. Lockhart had a way of smiling while he threatened, of offering kindness that felt like a noose tightening. When she refused, he started printing lies about her in his paper, suggesting she was a woman of loose morals who owed money all over town. Then yesterday, he had arranged an auction, claiming she had debts that needed settling, and he had rigged the bids so his partner would win her hand. But a bounty hunter named Duncan Hawkins had walked into the auction, tossed a stack of bills on the table, and outbid everyone. Now Lockhart stood in the street, demanding Hawkins hand over his prize, and Hawkins was grinning like a man who had just won a poker hand with nothing but a pair of 3s. Evelyn stepped out of the office and into the cold. Her breath made clouds in the thin air. The sun was already sinking behind the western hills, and the temperature was dropping fast. Duncan Hawkins stood with his thumbs hooked in his gun belt, his sandy brown hair sticking out from under his hat, his blue eyes bright with amusement. He was tall and lean, with the kind of easy confidence that came from walking into danger and walking back out alive. Lockhart was shorter, rounder, with a face that turned red when he was angry. He was red now.
I paid good money for that auction, Hawkins. You got no right to interfere.
Hawkins tilted his head.
I paid better money. That makes it my business.
Lockhart's hand moved toward his coat, and Hawkins's grin vanished.
I would not do that if I were you.
Lockhart froze. His hand dropped.
You think you can just walk in here and take what you want? This town has rules. Then follow them. The lady is not property. She is not for sale. And if you print one more lie about her in that paper of yours, I will come looking for you.
Lockhart's face went from red to purple. He turned and walked away, his boots crunching on the frozen mud. Evelyn watched him go, her heart pounding. Then she turned to Hawkins.
I did not ask for your help.
He looked at her with those bright blue eyes, and his grin came back, slow and easy.
I know.
I do not need a husband.
Good. I do not need a wife.
Then why did you bid?
He shrugged.
Because Lockhart is a snake, and I do not like snakes.
She stared at him, trying to read his face. He looked amused, but there was something harder underneath. Something that reminded her of the way men looked when they were deciding whether to draw their guns.
You just made an enemy.
I have made a lot of enemies. One more will not kill me.
He might.
He might try.
She felt a flicker of irritation.
You think this is funny?
I think it is better than being dead.
She wanted to argue, but she was too tired and too cold, and he had just saved her from a marriage she would have fought tooth and nail to escape. So instead, she nodded.
Thank you.
He tipped his hat.
You are welcome, Miss Walsh.
She turned and walked back into the office, her hands shaking. She did not know if it was from anger or relief or the cold. Probably all three. That night, she lay awake in the narrow room above the stage office, listening to the wind rattle the shutters. She had a small stove, but the wood was running low, and she was saving it for the mornings when the cold was worst. She wrapped herself in 2 blankets and thought about Duncan Hawkins. She had seen him around town before the auction. He was hard to miss. He moved like a cat, all loose grace and coiled readiness. And he had a reputation for bringing in men alive when other bounty hunters brought in corpses. He was also known for refusing jobs that did not sit right with him, which meant he was either principled or foolish. She suspected it was both. The next morning, she woke to the sound of someone pounding on the door downstairs. She pulled on her dress and hurried down, her feet cold on the wooden floor. When she opened the door, Hawkins was standing there with a bundle of firewood in his arms.
Morning. Thought you might need this.
She blinked at him.
Why?
Because it is cold, and you are out of wood.
How do you know I am out of wood?
Because I looked.
She felt her temper flare.
You were spying on me?
I was making sure you were safe. There is a difference.
I do not need you to make sure I am safe.
Maybe not. But Lockhart is still angry, and angry men do stupid things.
She wanted to slam the door in his face, but he was right, and the firewood was already getting heavy in his arms. She stepped aside and let him in. He carried the wood upstairs and stacked it neatly by the stove, then dusted off his hands.
You should keep your door locked.
I do keep it locked.
Not last night.
She felt her face. Heat.
You tried my door last night?
I checked it. There is a difference.
You keep saying that.
Because you keep getting mad.
She glared at him, and he grinned. It was infuriating.
Why are you doing this?
His grin faded.
Because Lockhart is planning something. I can feel it. And because you remind me of someone.
Who?
My sister. She died 5 years ago, because I was not there to help her.
The anger drained out of Evelyn like water from a cracked cup. She looked at him and saw the grief in his eyes, old and deep and carefully hidden.
I am sorry.
So am I.
He left before she could say anything else. She stood by the stove and felt the warmth spread through the room, and she did not know what to think. That afternoon, she was working on the ledgers when the stage office manager, a grizzled man named Carlson, came in with a telegram. He dropped it on her desk without a word. She opened it and read it twice, her hands going numb. Her lawyer in Kansas City was dead, shot in his office 3 days ago. The telegram was from his partner, who said the estate case was still pending, and she should stay wherever she was until further notice. She folded the telegram and slid it into her pocket, her mind racing. Her lawyer had been the only person who knew where she was. If someone had killed him to find her, then Dry Creek was no longer safe. She looked up and saw Hawkins standing in the doorway.
Bad news?
How did you know?
Your face.
She stood and walked to the window. The street was busy with miners and drifters, all of them strangers.
My lawyer is dead.
The one handling your inheritance?
She spun around.
How do you know about that?
I ask questions. It is part of my job.
You investigated me?
I wanted to know who I was helping.
She felt the anger rise again, hot and sharp.
You had no right.
Maybe not. But now I know why Lockhart wants you so badly. He knows who you are.
Her stomach dropped.
That is impossible.
He has been asking questions too. And he has friends in Kansas City.
She sat down hard in her chair.
If he knows, then I have to leave.
Where will you go?
I do not know. Anywhere.
He will follow you. Men like Lockhart do not give up.
Then what do you suggest?
Stay. Fight.
I am a bookkeeper, not a gunfighter.
You do not need to be a gunfighter. You just need to be stubborn.
She laughed, and it came out bitter.
I am good at that.
I know.
That evening, Hawkins took her to the saloon for dinner, claiming it was safer than leaving her alone. She did not argue. The saloon was crowded and loud, full of miners spending their pay on whiskey and cards. They sat in a corner booth, and Hawkins kept his back to the wall and his eyes on the door. The food was passable, and the coffee was strong.
You said I remind you of your sister.
You do. She was stubborn too.
What happened to her?
She married a man I told her not to marry. He beat her. I was tracking a fugitive in Colorado when I got the telegram. By the time I got back, she was dead.
And the man?
He ran. I found him 6 months later.
Did you kill him?
Hawkins looked at her with those bright blue eyes, and she saw the answer there.
I brought him to the law. He hanged.
You wanted to kill him.
Yes,
Why did you not?
because my sister would not have wanted that. She believed in the law, even when it failed her.
Evelyn felt something shift inside her. A wall she had not known was there, cracking just a little.
I am not your sister.
I know.
You do not owe me anything.
I know that too.
Then why are you helping me?
Because I can. And because you are worth helping.
She did not know what to say to that, so she drank her coffee and watched the miners play cards, and tried not to think about how easy it would be to trust him. Trust was dangerous. She had learned that the hard way. The next morning, Carlson told her the stage was running late because of trouble on the trail. A gang had hit the northbound coach 2 days ago, killed the driver, and stolen the mail. The southbound coach was carrying payroll for the mines, and everyone was nervous. Hawkins showed up at noon with a rifle and a grim expression.
I am riding shotgun on the southbound run.
Why?
Because Lockhart is up to something, and I want to know what it is.
You think he is behind the robberies?
I think he knows who is.
She wanted to argue, but he was already gone. She spent the afternoon trying to focus on the ledgers, but her mind kept drifting. If Hawkins was right, then Lockhart was more dangerous than she had thought. And if Lockhart knew about her inheritance, then he might be planning something worse than a rigged auction. She was closing the office when she heard the gunshots. They came from the north end of town, sharp and fast. She ran outside and saw people scattering, shouting. The southbound stage came tearing down the street, the horses wild-eyed and foaming. The driver was slumped over, blood on his coat. Hawkins was on the roof, his rifle in his hands, firing at the riders behind the coach. The coach skidded to a stop in front of the office, and Hawkins jumped down. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but his eyes were sharp.
Get inside. Lock the door.
What happened?
Ambush. 3 men. They were waiting for us.
He pulled the driver down from the seat and checked his pulse. The driver groaned.
He will live. Get Carlson.
She ran. By the time she got back with Carlson and the doctor, the riders were gone, and Hawkins was standing in the street with his rifle, his face hard. The doctor took the driver inside, and Carlson checked the strongbox. It was still locked.
They were not after the payroll. They were after something else.
What?
I do not know yet, but I will find out.
That night, Hawkins showed up at her door again, this time with a bundle wrapped in cloth. He set it on her table and unwrapped it. Inside was a locket, silver and delicate, with a photograph inside. The photograph showed a man and a woman standing in front of a house. The woman looked like Evelyn.
Where did you get this?
One of the riders dropped it when I shot him.
I have never seen it before.
Look closer.
She picked up the locket and held it to the lamplight. The woman in the photograph was wearing the same dress Evelyn had worn 6 months ago, the day she left Kansas City. The man was Pruitt Lockhart. Her hands started shaking.
This is not possible. I have never met Lockhart before I came here.
Someone made this photograph. Someone who wants people to think you and Lockhart are connected.
Why?
To discredit you. To make it look like you are working with him.
But I am not.
I know. But if this photograph gets out, no one will believe you.
She set the locket down, her mind racing.
He is setting me up.
Yes.
For what?
I think he is planning to rob the train, the one that comes through next week. It is carrying gold from the Denver Mint. If he robs it and blames you, he gets the gold and your inheritance.
How does he get my inheritance?
If you are arrested for train robbery, your estate goes to your next of kin. And I am guessing Lockhart has someone in your family on his payroll.
She felt sick.
My cousin. He has been fighting the probate.
That would be my guess.
What do we do?
We stop him.
How?
We figure out his plan, and we get there first.
She looked at him, this bounty hunter who had walked into her life 3 days ago and turned everything upside down.
Why are you doing this? You could walk away.
I could, but I am not going to.
Why not?
He looked at her for a long moment, and she saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch.
Because I made a promise.
To who?
To myself. After my sister died, I promised I would not walk away again. Not when I could help.
She felt the wall inside her crack a little more.
I do not need you to save me.
I know, but maybe I need to try.
They spent the next 3 days planning. Hawkins talked to the railroad agent and learned the train was arriving on Friday night. He talked to the miners and learned Lockhart had been hiring men, strangers who kept to themselves. He talked to the sheriff and learned the sheriff was in Lockhart's pocket. Evelyn went through the stage office records and found invoices for dynamite, more than any mine would need. She showed them to Hawkins, and his face went grim.
He is going to blow the tracks.
When?
Friday, before the train gets here. Then he will blame it on you and take the gold.
We have to warn someone.
Who? The sheriff works for him. The railroad agent is too scared to act. We are on our own.
She felt a flicker of fear, but she pushed it down.
Then we stop him ourselves.
That is what I was hoping you would say.
On Thursday night, they rode out to the tracks, following the route Hawkins had scouted. The air was bitter cold, and the stars were bright overhead. Evelyn wore her heavy coat and gloves, but the wind cut through everything. Hawkins rode beside her, his rifle across his saddle, his eyes scanning the darkness. They found the spot where Lockhart planned to set the charges, a narrow cut in the hills where the tracks ran along a cliff. Hawkins dismounted and checked the ground.
They have been here. Recently.
How can you tell?
The snow is disturbed, and there are boot prints. 3 men, maybe 4.
He knelt and brushed away the snow, revealing a bundle of dynamite wired to the tracks.
They already set the charges. They are planning to blow it tomorrow night.
Can you disarm it?
Not in the dark. I will have to come back in the daylight.
They rode back to town in silence, the cold biting at their faces. When they reached the stage office, Hawkins helped her down from her horse. His hand lingered on hers for a moment, warm and rough.
You should leave town. Tonight. Before this gets worse.
I am not leaving.
Evelyn, if this goes wrong, they will kill you.
If I leave, Lockhart wins. He gets the gold, he gets my inheritance, and he gets away with it.
Better that than dead.
I would rather be dead than let him win.
He stared at her, and she saw the frustration in his eyes.
You are the most stubborn woman I have ever met.
You already knew that.
I was hoping you would prove me wrong.
I do not do things just to make you happy.
I know. It is one of the things I like about you.
She felt her heart skip.
You like me?
Yes,
Why?
because you are brave and smart, and you do not take any nonsense from anyone.
She did not know what to say to that.
I like you too.
Good. Now go inside and lock your door.
She did, and she lay awake most of the night thinking about his hand on hers, and the way he looked at her like she was worth saving. The next morning, Hawkins went back to the tracks alone. He told her to stay in town, and she told him she would. She lied. She waited until he was gone, then saddled her horse and followed him. She stayed far enough back that he would not see her, but close enough that she could help if something went wrong. When she reached the cut in the hills, she saw Hawkins kneeling by the tracks, working on the dynamite. She also saw 3 men riding toward him from the other direction. She spurred her horse forward, shouting,
Duncan! Behind you!
He spun, reaching for his gun, but the riders were already firing. She saw him dive behind the tracks, saw the bullets kick up snow around him. She pulled her own pistol, the one she kept in her saddlebag, and fired. She had never shot at a person before, but she did not think about it. She just aimed and pulled the trigger. One of the riders jerked and fell from his horse. The other 2 turned toward her, and suddenly she was the target. She kicked her horse and rode hard, the bullets whining past her head. She heard Hawkins shouting, heard more gunfire. One of the riders fell. The last one turned and ran. Hawkins was on his feet, his face white with fury.
What are you doing here?
Saving your life.
I told you to stay in town.
I do not take orders from you.
You could have been killed.
So could you.
He stared at her, his chest heaving, and then he pulled her off her horse and into his arms. She felt his heart pounding against hers, felt his hands shaking.
Do not ever do that again.
Do not ever tell me what to do.
He laughed, and it sounded half crazy.
You are impossible.
I know.
He kissed her then, hard and desperate, and she kissed him back, because she had wanted to since the moment he walked into that auction and grinned at Lockhart. When they pulled apart, they were both breathing hard.
We need to finish this.
I know.
They worked together, disarming the dynamite and loading it onto her horse. Then, they rode back to town, side by side. When they reached Dry Creek, they found Lockhart waiting in the street with the sheriff and a dozen men.
Trouble.
Always.
Lockhart stepped forward, smiling that smile that made her skin crawl.
Hawkins. Miss Walsh. I hear you have been interfering with private business. I hear you have been planning a train robbery. That is a serious accusation. Do you have proof?
Hawkins pulled the bundle of dynamite from her horse and dropped it at Lockhart's feet.
Is this enough? Proof.
Lockhart's smile faded.
That could be anyone's dynamite. It is yours. I checked the invoices. Miss Walsh keeps very good records.
The sheriff stepped forward, his hand on his gun. The men behind Lockhart spread out, their faces hard. Evelyn felt the tension coil tight, felt the moment balance on a knife edge. Then, she heard the train whistle. Everyone turned. The train was coming early, steaming into town with a full head of speed. The engineer leaned out the window, waving.
Tracks are clear! No trouble!
Lockhart's face went red, then purple.
You ruined everything. Yes. You think you can just walk away from this? You think I will let you? I think you do not have a choice.
Lockhart reached for his gun, and Hawkins was faster. The shot echoed through the street, and Lockhart fell, clutching his shoulder. The sheriff and the hired men froze. Hawkins kept his gun steady.
Anyone else?
No one moved. The sheriff looked at Lockhart bleeding in the street, then at Hawkins, then at the crowd gathering. He holstered his gun.
I reckon that is enough excitement for one day.
The hired men drifted away. The doctor came and took Lockhart inside. The sheriff walked over to Hawkins and held out his hand.
I will need a statement. You will get one.
The sheriff nodded and left. Evelyn stood in the street, her hands shaking, her heart pounding. Hawkins holstered his gun and turned to her.
You all right?
I think so.
Good.
They walked to the stage office together, and she made coffee while he cleaned his rifle. The sun was setting, painting the hills red and gold. She sat across from him and watched the light fade.
What happens now?
Now we wait for the law to sort out Lockhart. And you wait for your inheritance.
And after that?
After that, you go back to Kansas City.
She felt something twist inside her.
Is that what you want?
He looked at her, and she saw the same thing she had seen before. That careful hiding of something deeper.
What I want does not matter.
It matters to me.
You have a life waiting for you. A real life. Not this.
What if I do not want that life?
Evelyn,
What if I want this one?
you do not know what you are saying.
Yes, I do. I want to stay here. With you.
He stood and walked to the window, his back to her.
I am a bounty hunter. I spend half my time on the trail chasing men who would kill me if they could. I do not have a home. I do not have anything to offer you.
I do not need you to offer me anything.
You deserve better.
I deserve to choose.
He turned, and she saw the longing in his eyes, the fear.
I do not want to lose you.
Then do not push me away.
What if I cannot keep you safe?
I do not need you to keep me safe. I need you to trust me.
He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms.
I do trust you. That is the problem.
That is not a problem. That is the solution.
He kissed her, and this time it was slow and careful, like he was memorizing her. When he pulled back, he was smiling.
You win.
I know.
You are still impossible.
I know that too.
They stayed in Dry Creek through the winter. Evelyn's inheritance came through in March, and she used part of it to buy the stage office from Carlson. Hawkins kept bounty hunting, but he always came back. They got married in April, standing on the platform outside the train station, while the preacher said the words and the train whistled in the distance. She kept the locket Lockhart had made, the false photograph that was supposed to ruin her. She kept it as a reminder that some bargains were worth refusing, and some promises were worth making. And every time Hawkins rode out, she watched him go from the platform. And every time he came back, she was there, waiting. It was not the life she had planned, but it was the life she chose. And that made all the difference. They had been married 3 months when the telegram arrived. Evelyn was working in the stage office, reconciling the weekly receipts, when the clerk from the telegraph office came in with a yellow envelope. She knew, before she opened it, that something was wrong. The telegram was from Kansas City. It said her cousin had been arrested for conspiracy and fraud, and that the probate court had ruled in her favor. It also said that the railroad was filing charges against Pruitt Lockhart for attempted robbery and attempted murder. Lockhart was in custody in Santa Fe, awaiting trial. Hawkins was out on a job, tracking a horse thief north toward Colorado. She sent a telegram to the marshal's office in Durango, hoping it would reach him. Then, went back to work. 2 days later, he rode in, dusty and tired, leading a prisoner on a second horse. He dropped the man at the sheriff's office, collected his bounty, and walked straight to the stage office. She met him at the door, and he kissed her, before he even said hello.
I got your telegram.
I figured you would.
Are you all right?
I am fine. It is good news. The inheritance is secure.
Good.
But there is something else.
She showed him the second telegram, the one that had arrived that morning. It said the railroad wanted them both to testify at Lockhart's trial in Santa Fe. The trial was set for 2 weeks from now. Hawkins read it twice, his face unreadable.
Do you want to go?
I do not know. Do you think we should?
I think if we do not, he might get away with it.
Then we go.
They took the train to Santa Fe, sharing a narrow bench in the passenger car. The landscape rolled past, brown hills and mesas, and the occasional cluster of buildings. Evelyn watched the land change and felt something shift inside her. She had left Kansas City to escape a life that did not fit, and now she was going back toward that world, at least for a moment. Hawkins sat beside her, his hand on hers, his eyes on the window.
You are quiet.
I am thinking
About what?
about how different everything is now.
Good different. Or bad different.
Good. Definitely good.
He squeezed her hand, and she leaned against his shoulder. Santa Fe was bigger than Dry Creek, busier, louder. They checked into a small hotel near the plaza and spent the evening walking the streets. The trial started the next morning. The courtroom was packed. Reporters and railroad men and curious townspeople crammed into every seat. Lockhart sat at the defense table, his arms still in a sling, his face pale and angry. When Evelyn walked in, he stared at her with such hatred that she felt it like a physical blow. Hawkins sat beside her in the gallery, close enough that their shoulders touched. The prosecutor called Evelyn first. She walked to the witness stand, her heart pounding, and swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor was a thin man with sharp eyes and a sharper voice. He asked her to describe the events leading up to the attempted robbery, and she did, starting with the auction and ending with the gunfight in the street. Lockhart's lawyer stood and objected half a dozen times, but the judge overruled him every time. When it was the defense's turn, Lockhart's lawyer tried to paint her as a liar and a thief, someone who had manipulated the probate court and fabricated evidence. Evelyn kept her voice steady and answered every question.
I did not fabricate anything. I kept accurate records. That is my job.
And you expect this court to believe that you just happened to discover a train robbery plot?
I did not discover it. Mr. Lockhart tried to frame me for it. My husband uncovered the plot.
Your husband. The bounty hunter.
Yes.
How convenient.
It was not convenient. It was dangerous.
The lawyer smirked, but she saw the jury watching her, their faces thoughtful. When she stepped down, Hawkins was called next. He walked to the stand with that easy grace she had come to love, his boots loud on the wooden floor. The prosecutor asked him to describe his investigation, and he did, laying out the evidence piece by piece. The dynamite invoices, the boot prints at the tracks, the hired men, the gunfight. Lockhart's lawyer tried to rattle him, but Hawkins did not rattle.
Mr. Hawkins, you claim you disarmed the dynamite. Do you have any proof? Yes, I brought the dynamite to the sheriff in Dry Creek. It is in evidence. And you claim Mr. Lockhart hired men to rob the train. Do you have any proof of that? I have witness statements from miners who saw Lockhart meeting with strangers. I have invoices showing he purchased more dynamite than any legitimate mine would need. And I have the bullet wounds to prove his men tried to kill me. Bullet wounds you could have gotten anywhere. I could have. But I did not.
The jury laughed, and the lawyer sat down, his face red. The trial lasted 3 days. Witnesses testified. Evidence was presented, and Lockhart sat silent and furious through all of it. On the third day, the jury deliberated for less than an hour. When they came back, the foreman stood and read the verdict.
We find the defendant guilty on all charges.
The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed for the doors, spectators shouted, and Lockhart lunged from his seat, screaming. The bailiffs grabbed him and dragged him out, still shouting. Evelyn sat frozen, her hands clenched in her lap. Hawkins reached over and took her hand.
It is. Over.
Is it?
Yes.
They walked out of the courthouse into the bright afternoon sun. The plaza was full of people, vendors selling food and flowers, children running between the stalls. Evelyn felt the tension drain out of her all at once, leaving her lightheaded.
I need to sit down.
Hawkins led her to a bench under a cottonwood tree and sat beside her.
You did good in there.
I was terrified.
You did not show it.
I felt like I was going to be sick the whole time.
You still did good.
She leaned against him, and he put his arm around her.
What do we do now?
Now we go home.
To Dry Creek.
Yes.
That sounds perfect.
They stayed in Santa Fe one more night, then caught the train back. The ride home felt different, lighter. Evelyn watched the landscape roll past and felt something settle inside her. She had spent so long running from her old life that she had forgotten what it felt like to choose a new one. When they reached Dry Creek, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. They walked from the station to the stage office, their hands linked, their steps slow. The town was quiet, the saloons just starting to fill, the shops closing for the night. Carlson waved from the general store, and the blacksmith nodded as they passed. It felt like coming home. Inside the stage office, Evelyn lit the lamp and put coffee on the stove. Hawkins sat at the table, cleaning his rifle out of habit. She watched him work, the easy confidence of his hands, the way he frowned in concentration.
Duncan.
Yes? She and the warned Randant Rekthing, one Souter said, they were place at the time. The warned the wind stas but that we year in Luch coins. Or yes, with a lost lots mark Pogan. Yes, the waist bone frest in the teaching nine ties. The head had barred fire. They called it fire. The wind finally was pay for a Christ it's walking.
I am glad I stayed.
He looked up, and she saw the smile start in his eyes before it reached his mouth.
I am glad you did too.
Even though I am impossible?
Especially because you are impossible.
She laughed, and he stood and pulled her into his arms.
I love you.
I love you too.
He kissed her, and she kissed him back. And outside the window, the train whistled as it pulled away from the station, carrying someone else's story towards someone else's future. Theirs was here, in this small office, in this dusty town. And it was exactly what they both needed. Spring turned to summer, and the heat settled over Dry Creek like a blanket. The stage line stayed busy, miners coming and going, travelers passing through on their way to Santa Fe or Albuquerque. Evelyn kept the books and managed the schedules, and Hawkins took jobs when they came, always careful to choose ones that would not keep him away too long. They fell into a rhythm, a pattern of work and waiting and homecoming that felt more solid than anything either of them had known before. In June, a letter arrived from Kansas City. Evelyn opened it at the kitchen table, Hawkins watching over his coffee. It was from her mother's lawyer, confirming that the inheritance was finalized and the funds were available. She read it twice, then set it down and looked at Hawkins.
It is done.
How do you feel?
Relieved. And a little sad.
Sad? Seeing mourn or flutter. One slass. There were cless down. The mormba wind smash but that year in the hands. There were nuft. The lust lodsbach. Sad? Was strong frist in the teaching done ties. Our fire. I called it fire. But my finally was pay for a Christ it's walking. But I Senverlios.
It means it is really over. The old life. My mother. All of it.
He reached across the table and took her hand.
You still have what matters.
I know.
What do you want to do with it? The money.
I want to expand the stage line. Buy another coach. Hire more drivers. Maybe open a freight office.
That is a good plan.
And I want to buy us a house. A real one. Not just rooms above the office.
I like that plan even better.
They found a piece of land on the edge of town. A flat acre, with a view of the hills, and enough space for a barn and a garden. Hawkins hired a carpenter from Santa Fe, and they spent the summer building. Evelyn worked the stage office during the day, and came out in the evenings to watch the house take shape. By August, it was finished. A simple, 2-story frame house with a wide porch and windows that caught the morning light. They moved in on a Saturday, carrying their few belongings in boxes and crates. That night, they sat on the porch and watched the stars come out, the hills dark against the sky.
It is strange.
What is?
Having a home. I have not had one since I was a child.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Good.
She leaned against him, her head on his shoulder.
Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had taken that deal? If you had married me just to get the bounty?
Sometimes.
What do you think?
I think I would have lost you, and I would have spent the rest of my life regretting it.
You did not lose me.
No. I got lucky.
We both did.
In September, a drought hit. The creeks dried up, the grass turned brown, and the miners started leaving, heading north where the water was better. The stage line slowed, and Evelyn spent her days balancing the books and worrying. Hawkins took a job tracking a cattle rustler in Arizona and was gone for 2 weeks. When he came back, dusty and tired, she met him at the door and held him without saying anything.
Bad? She and the warned Randant Rechting, one Soffer said, they were clessed down. The warned the one stas but that the year and the drimes. They were the nuft, with a lost lod spark. Bad? As a Suan frest in the teaching dynamize. Our fire. I told it fire, but my signly was pay for a Christ it's walking, but I Cyverlios.
Slow. People are leaving.
It will pick up.
What if it does not?
Then, we figure something else out.
But it did pick up. In October, a new vein of silver was discovered in the hills west of town, and the miners flooded back. The stage line got busy again, and Evelyn hired 2 more drivers and bought a second coach. Hawkins stayed close, taking local jobs, helping with the stage line when she needed him. By November, they were making enough to save, and Evelyn started planning for the next expansion. Winter came early that year, snow falling in December and staying through January. The stage line ran slow, the roads icy and treacherous. Hawkins spent most of his time at home, chopping wood and fixing things around the house. Evelyn worked on the books and planned for spring. They spent long evenings by the fire, reading or talking or just sitting together. One night, Hawkins looked up from the knife he was sharpening and watched her for a long moment.
What are you thinking about?
Numbers. Always numbers.
You look happy.
I am.
Good.
Are you? Happy, I mean.
Yes.
You do not miss it? The trail. The bounties.
Sometimes. But not as much as I would miss this.
This?
You. Home. All of it.
She set down her ledger and crossed the room to sit beside him.
I never thought I would have this.
Neither did I.
I am glad we were both wrong.
He kissed her, slow and careful, and the fire crackled in the hearth. Outside, the snow fell silent and steady, covering the town in white. In February, a bounty came through that Hawkins could not ignore. A killer named Jack Drummond had escaped from the prison in Santa Fe and was headed west, killing as he went. The bounty was $500, dead or alive, and every lawman in the territory was looking for him. Hawkins sat at the kitchen table with the wanted poster in front of him, his face unreadable. Evelyn sat across from him, her coffee cold in her hands.
You are going.
I have to.
Why?
Because if I do not, someone else will die.
Someone else could catch him.
Maybe. But I am better.
She wanted to argue, to tell him to stay, to let someone else take the risk. But she knew him well enough to know it would not change anything.
How long?
A week. Maybe 2.
Be careful.
I always am.
Promise me.
I promise.
He left the next morning, riding north with his rifle and his bedroll and a saddlebag full of supplies. Evelyn watched him go from the porch, her arms wrapped around herself against the cold. She went back inside and threw herself into work, keeping the stage line running, balancing the books, planning the spring routes. But every night, she lay awake, listening for hoofbeats that did not come. He came back on the 10th day, leading a second horse with a body tied across the saddle. He was pale and limping, blood soaking through his pant leg. Evelyn saw him from the stage office window and ran, her heart in her throat. She caught him as he slid from the saddle, his weight heavy against her.
Duncan.
I am. All right.
You are bleeding.
It is not bad.
Let me see.
She got him inside and onto the table, cutting away his pant leg to reveal a deep gash across his thigh. It was not a bullet wound, but it was ugly, red and swollen. She cleaned it with whiskey, and he hissed through his teeth but did not pull away.
What happened?
Drummond had a knife. I was not fast enough.
You could have died.
But I did not.
You could have.
She wrapped the wound tight, her hands shaking, her eyes burning.
You cannot keep doing this.
Evelyn.
You cannot. One of these days, you will not come back. And I cannot. I cannot lose you.
You will not lose me.
You do not know that.
I know. I will always come back to you.
You cannot promise that.
Yes, I can.
She looked at him. This man she had married. This man who kept riding into danger and coming back bloodied but alive.
Then promise me, you will be more careful.
I promise.
And promise me, you will think about stopping. Not now, but someday.
I promise.
He pulled her close, and she held him, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong under her hands. The next day, he collected the bounty on Drummond and turned it over to Evelyn.
For the stage line.
Duncan, you earned this.
We earned it.
She took the money and added it to the savings, and they did not talk about it again. Spring came slow that year, the snow melting in patches, the roads turning to mud. The stage line picked up again, and Evelyn hired another driver and started planning a route to Albuquerque. Hawkins healed, the scar on his thigh a thin white line, and took smaller jobs closer to home. By April, they had fallen back into their rhythm, and the fear that had gripped Evelyn after Drummond started to fade. One evening in May, they were sitting on the porch watching the sunset when a rider came up the road. He was young, maybe 20, with a badge on his chest and a nervous look in his eyes. He dismounted and walked up to the porch, his hat in his hands.
Can I help you? Are you Duncan Hawkins? I am. I am Deputy Miller from Socorro. I have a message from the marshal.
Hawkins stood, his face wary.
What kind of message? There is a gang operating out of the mountains south of here. They have been hitting ranches and stage lines. The marshal is putting together a posse, and he wants you to lead it. When? Day after tomorrow.
Hawkins looked at Evelyn, and she saw the question in his eyes. She wanted to say no, to tell him to stay, to let someone else lead. But she knew what his answer would be.
How long?
A week. Maybe more.
And how dangerous?
The gang is 6 men, all armed. They have killed 2 people already.
Evelyn felt the fear rise again, cold and sharp. She looked at Hawkins, and he looked back, his face calm and steady.
I will do it. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. The marshal will meet you in Socorro on Thursday.
The deputy left, and Evelyn and Hawkins sat in silence. The sun set, fading to dark.
You do not have to go.
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because people are dying, and because I can help stop it.
And what if you do not come back?
I will come back.
You do not know that.
Evelyn, look at me.
She turned, and he took her hands.
I will come back. I always do.
One of these days, you will not.
Not this time. I promise.
She wanted to believe him, but the fear was too strong.
I cannot lose you.
You will not.
Promise me.
I promise.
He left 2 days later, riding south with the posse. Evelyn stood on the porch and watched until he disappeared over the hills, then went inside and locked the door. She threw herself into work, running the stage line, managing the drivers, keeping the books balanced. But every night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening for hoofbeats. Days passed, one after another, each one slower than the last. On the 6th day, a telegram came from Socorro. The posse had found the gang holed up in a canyon, and there had been a gunfight. 2 gang members were dead, 3 captured, 1 escaped. Hawkins was injured, but alive. Evelyn read the telegram 3 times, her hands shaking, then saddled a horse and rode south. She reached Socorro late that night, the town dark and quiet. The doctor's office was lit, and she tied her horse and went inside. Hawkins was lying on a cot in the back room, his chest bandaged, his face pale. The doctor was washing his hands at the basin. Is he going to be all right? The doctor turned, surprised. Yes, the bullet went through clean. Missed anything vital. He needs rest, but he will heal. Evelyn crossed to the cot and sat beside him. Hawkins opened his eyes, groggy from laudanum.
Evelyn,
You promised me.
I know.
You promised you would come back.
I did come back.
Barely.
Still counts.
She wanted to yell at him, to tell him how terrified she had been, how the days without word had felt like years. But he looked so tired, so worn, that she just took his hand and held it.
No more.
What?
No more pauses. No more bounties. No more riding into danger.
Evelyn,
I mean it, Duncan. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot sit at home and wonder if you are alive or dead. I cannot.
all right.
All right?
All right. No more.
You mean it?
Yes. I am done.
She searched his face, looking for doubt, but saw only honesty.
Promise me.
I promise.
She leaned down and kissed him, careful of his bandages, and felt his hand tighten on hers.
I am sorry I scared you.
Just do not do it again.
I will not.
They stayed in Socorro for a week while Hawkins healed, then rode back to Dry Creek together. The town welcomed them home, and Evelyn got the stage line running again. Hawkins stayed close, helping with the coaches, repairing harnesses, doing the work that kept him near. He turned down 2 bounties that came through, and Evelyn saw the relief in his eyes when he did. Summer settled over the territory, hot and dry. The stage line stayed busy, and Evelyn expanded the routes, adding a run to Las Cruces. Hawkins worked beside her, and they fell into a new rhythm, one that felt safer, steadier. In August, Evelyn realized she was late. She waited another week, then rode to the doctor in Socorro. When she came back, Hawkins was at the barn, brushing down one of the stage horses. She stood in the doorway, watching him work.
Everything all right?
Yes.
You sure? You have been quiet.
I went to see the doctor.
He stopped brushing and turned, his face going pale.
Are you sick?
No,
Then what?
I am pregnant.
He stared at her, the brush still in his hand.
Pregnant.
Yes.
You are sure?
The doctor is sure.
When?
February. Maybe March.
He set down the brush and crossed to her, pulling her into his arms.
This is good. Right?
Yes. This is good.
You are happy?
I am terrified. But yes, I am happy.
Me too.
He kissed her, and she kissed him back. And outside the barn, the horses nickered softly. That night, they sat on the porch and talked about names and nurseries and all the things they had never imagined they would need.
A boy. Or a girl.
I do not know. Does it matter?
No. Either way is good.
We need to build a crib. And get a cradle. And
We have time.
not much.
Enough.
She leaned against him, her hand on her stomach, feeling the first faint flutter of something new.
Are you scared?
A little.
Me too.
We will figure it out.
You think so?
I know so.
In September, Hawkins started building a nursery in the room next to theirs. He worked in the evenings, planing wood and fitting joints, his hands careful and steady. Evelyn watched from the doorway, feeling the baby move inside her, and thought about how much had changed since that day in January, when she had stood in Pruitt Lockhart's office and refused to bend. By October, the nursery was finished, and Evelyn started buying blankets and clothes. The stage line kept running, but she hired a clerk to help with the books and spent more time at home. Hawkins stayed close, working odd jobs in town, always within shouting distance. In November, they celebrated their first anniversary quietly, with a dinner at home and a night by the fire.
It has been a year.
Feels longer.
In a good way? Or a bad way?
A good way. Like we have always been together.
I feel that too.
Do you ever regret it? Staying here, marrying me?
No. Do you?
Not for a second.
She kissed him, and he pulled her close, careful of her belly.
I love you.
I love you too.
Winter came cold and hard, the snow piling up in drifts. The stage line ran slow, and Evelyn spent her days at home, knitting and reading and waiting. Hawkins kept the house warm, the wood stacked high, the fires burning. On a night in early February, Evelyn woke with a sharp pain low in her belly. She sat up, her hand going to her stomach, and felt the pain again.
Duncan.
He woke instantly, sitting up beside her.
What is wrong?
I think it is time.
Time. You mean?
Yes.
He scrambled out of bed, pulling on his clothes, his hands shaking.
What do I do?
Get the doctor. And the midwife. And hurry.
He ran out into the night, and Evelyn lay back, breathing through the pains. They came faster now, harder, and she gripped the sheets and focused on breathing. Hawkins came back with the midwife, a sturdy woman named Clara, who took one look at Evelyn and started giving orders. The doctor arrived an hour later, and Evelyn lost track of time after that. There was pain and pressure, and voices telling her to push. And then, finally, a thin wail that cut through everything. Clara wrapped the baby in a blanket and handed it to Evelyn. A girl, healthy and strong. Evelyn looked down at the tiny red face, the dark hair, the eyes squeezed shut, and felt something shift inside her.
A girl.
She is perfect.
She is.
What do we call her?
I was thinking Rose. After my mother.
Rose Hawkins. I like it.
He leaned down and kissed Evelyn's forehead, then touched the baby's cheek with one finger.
Hello, Rose.
The baby yawned, and Hawkins laughed, and Evelyn felt tears on her face. The midwife and the doctor left, and Hawkins sat beside the bed, his hand on Evelyn's shoulder, watching the baby sleep.
Thank you.
For what?
For her. For this. For staying.
I would not be anywhere else.
Spring came slow that year, the snow melting in fits and starts. Rose grew, learning to smile and then to laugh, and Evelyn and Hawkins learned to be parents, stumbling through the sleepless nights and the endless questions. The stage line ran smooth, the clerk handling the books, and Evelyn found a new rhythm, one that fit around Rose and home and Hawkins. In May, a letter came from Kansas City. It was from the lawyer, informing Evelyn that the final paperwork on her mother's estate was complete, and the inheritance was fully transferred. She read it at the kitchen table, Rose asleep in her cradle, Hawkins washing dishes at the basin.
It is over.
The inheritance?
Yes. All of it.
How do you feel?
Free.
Good.
She folded the letter and set it aside, then picked up Rose and held her close.
I have everything I need.
So do I.
That summer, they expanded the stage line again, adding a route to El Paso. Business was good, and they started saving for a second house, thinking ahead to when Rose was older. Hawkins took a job as deputy sheriff in Dry Creek, working part-time, staying close to home. He wore the badge with pride, and Evelyn teased him about going soft.
You, a lawman. I never thought I would see the day.
Neither did I.
Do you miss it? The trail.
Sometimes. But not as much as I would miss this.
This?
You. Rose. Home.
Good answer.
In August, they took Rose to Socorro for her first trip on the stage. She cried the whole way, and Evelyn spent the ride bouncing her and singing, while Hawkins tried not to laugh.
She has your temper.
She has your stubbornness.
Fair enough.
By fall, Rose was crawling, and the house became a whirlwind of toys and laughter. Evelyn and Hawkins took turns chasing her, and the days felt long and full. One evening in October, they sat on the porch after Rose was asleep, watching the stars.
Do you ever think about how we started?
All the time.
Do you regret not taking that deal?
No.
Not even a little?
Not even a little. You?
No. I am glad you refused,
Why?
because it meant you saw me. Not the money. Not the deal. Just me.
I did see you. And I liked what I saw.
Even when I was yelling at you?
Especially then.
She laughed, and he pulled her close.
I love you, Evelyn Hawkins.
I love you too, Duncan Hawkins.
Inside, Rose stirred and whimpered, and Evelyn stood to go to her. Hawkins followed, and they stood together in the nursery, watching their daughter sleep, her tiny fists curled, her breath soft and even.
We did good.
We did.
What do you think comes next?
I do not know. But I know we will figure it out together.
Together.
Always.
He kissed her, and she kissed him back. And outside the window, the stars shone bright over the New Mexico territory, over the town of Dry Creek, over the house they had built, and the life they had made. It was not the life either of them had imagined, but it was theirs, and it was enough. In November, a telegram arrived from Santa Fe. The territorial governor was organizing a law enforcement council, and Duncan Hawkins was invited to attend as a representative from Dry Creek. Hawkins read the telegram twice, then showed it to Evelyn.
It is 3 days each way, plus a week in Santa Fe.
You should go.
I do not want to leave you and Rose.
We will be fine. This is important.
Are you sure?
Yes. Go.
He left the following Monday, riding north with a group of sheriffs and deputies. Evelyn waved from the porch, Rose on her hip, and watched him disappear over the hills. The days without him were long, but she stayed busy with the stage line, and Rose, who had started pulling herself up on furniture and trying to stand. On the 8th day, Hawkins returned, tired but smiling.
How was it?
Good. They want to standardize training for lawmen across the territory. Better communication between towns. It is a good idea.
And?
And they asked if I would help coordinate it for the southern districts.
What did you say?
I said I would think about it.
Do you want to do it?
I do. But it would mean more travel. Not as much as bounty hunting, but still.
We can make it work.
You are sure?
Yes. This is good work, Duncan. You should do it.
He pulled her close, Rose squirming between them.
Thank you.
For what?
For understanding.
Always.
By December, Hawkins had started the coordination work, traveling to nearby towns once or twice a month. Evelyn managed the stage line and Rose, and the rhythm of their life shifted again, stretching to fit the new shape. Christmas came quiet, with a small tree in the parlor and presents wrapped in brown paper. Rose was too young to understand, but she laughed at the ribbons, and Evelyn and Hawkins sat by the fire and watched her play.
Best Christmas I have ever had.
Me too.
Next year, she will be walking.
And talking.
God help us.
We will manage.
We always do.
In January of 1896, 2 years after that cold morning, when Evelyn had stood in Pruitt Lockhart's office and refused to bend, she stood on the porch of her house and watched the stage pull in. The driver climbed down and handed her a stack of mail, then tipped his hat and drove on. Evelyn sorted through the letters, Rose clinging to her skirt, and found one from Kansas City. She opened it and read, her heart catching. The lawyer had died, and his partner was closing the practice. All remaining documents related to her mother's estate were enclosed. She flipped through them, old deeds and receipts, and at the bottom found a letter in her mother's handwriting. It was dated a month before she died, addressed to Evelyn, and sealed with wax. Evelyn broke the seal and unfolded the paper. My dearest Evelyn, if you are reading this, I am gone, and I hope you have found the life you deserve. I know I was not the mother you needed, but I tried in the ways I could. The inheritance is yours, free and clear, and I hope it gives you the freedom I never had. Be brave, my girl. Be happy. Love always, Mother. Evelyn read it twice, her eyes burning, then folded it carefully and tucked it into her pocket. Rose tugged at her skirt, and Evelyn picked her up, holding her close.
Your grandmother would have loved you.
That evening, she showed Hawkins the letter. He read it silently, then handed it back.
She was proud of you.
I hope so.
I know so.
Thank you.
For what?
For being here. For all of this.
Always.
In February, Rose took her first steps, tottering across the parlor into Hawkins's arms. Evelyn clapped and cheered, and Rose beamed, proud of herself.
She is walking.
I know.
Next thing you know, she will be riding horses.
Not yet.
Soon enough.
Spring came warm and early that year, the desert blooming with wildflowers. Evelyn and Hawkins took Rose on long walks, showing her the hills and the sky, teaching her the names of birds and plants. She was curious and fearless, running ahead and laughing when they called her back. One afternoon in April, they rode out to the ridge where Hawkins had shown Evelyn the view 2 years before. Rose sat in front of Hawkins on his horse, her hands gripping the saddle horn, her eyes wide.
Look at that.
It is beautiful.
Worth coming back to.
Always.
That summer, the stage line expanded again, and Evelyn hired 2 more drivers. Business was booming, and she opened a small office in town to handle bookings and schedules. Hawkins continued his coordination work, traveling less as the system settled into place. By fall, Rose was talking in full sentences, asking endless questions. And Evelyn and Hawkins spent their evenings answering her as best they could.
Where does the sun go at night?
Behind the mountains,
Why?
so the moon can come out.
Why? Because the moon needs its turn. Why?
Because that is how it works.
Why?
Ask your mother.
Evelyn. I have no idea.
In October, a letter arrived from the territorial governor, thanking Hawkins for his work and offering him a position as regional marshal. Hawkins read it aloud to Evelyn that night, his voice uncertain.
It is more responsibility, more travel, but also more pay.
Do you want it?
I do not know.
What does your gut say?
That I want to stay close to home, but that this could be good for all of us.
Then do it.
You are sure?
Yes. We will make it work.
We always do.
Exactly.
He accepted the position, and in November he was sworn in as regional marshal for the southern New Mexico territory. The work was steady, but manageable, and he traveled only when necessary. Evelyn ran the stage line, and together they built a life that fit them both. Flexible and strong. In December, they celebrated Rose's 2nd birthday with a small party. The neighbors came, and the house filled with laughter and the smell of cake. Rose wore a new dress Evelyn had sewn, and she ran wild with the other children, her cheeks flushed and her eyes bright.
She is growing up fast.
Too fast.
Do you want another?
Another child?
Yes,
Maybe. Do you?
I think so.
Then, maybe.
By the new year, Evelyn was pregnant again, and they fell back into the rhythm of waiting and preparing. Hawkins built a 2nd crib, and Rose asked 100 questions about babies and where they came from. In the summer of 1897, Evelyn gave birth to a boy, healthy and loud. They named him James, after Hawkins's father, and Rose was fascinated, poking at his tiny fingers and asking when he would be big enough to play. The years that followed were full and busy. Rose started school, and James grew into a cheerful toddler who followed his sister everywhere. Evelyn ran the stage line, expanding routes and hiring more staff. Hawkins worked as marshal, keeping the peace across the southern districts. They built a larger house on the edge of town, with room for the children to run and a porch big enough for summer evenings. One night in the fall of 1899, Evelyn and Hawkins sat on that porch, the children asleep inside, and watched the stars.
Do you ever think about how we started?
All the time.
It feels like another life.
It does.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes. But not enough to go back.
Me neither.
We did good, Evelyn.
We did.
I love you.
I love you too.
Inside, Rose cried out in her sleep, and Evelyn stood to check on her. Hawkins followed, and they stood together in the doorway, watching their children sleep, and felt the weight of all they had built. It was not perfect, but it was theirs, and it was enough.